Hi class, welcome to week 5. So I want to make a video to walk you through what's going on this week, make sure that we're all on the same page, and to talk to you about some stuff that's coming down the pipes in a couple of weeks. So I'm going to go ahead and minimize myself down here. So here's the week 5 module. I'm sure you've already seen it since we're on Tuesday now already, but just in case you haven't, let's look through it. So here's my little blurb at the beginning talking about understanding sources and evaluating them is really difficult these days, like extremely difficult these days, and it's only getting worse. So a big part of this class is learning how to be literate with information. So I have some stuff for you to read, reading about what information literacy even is. I've got some articles. I got a short little quiz. Go ahead and take that. You can take it over and over again to get all the points. Then I talk about some methods for source evaluation, right? 2 main methods. One's called CRAP, which I find hilarious, but that's what it is. And then the other one is called lateral reading. So both, they're very similar, but I want you to learn about methods for evaluating sources. So go ahead and take a look at all that. And then here is your work for the week. You have a discussion board and then one small little practice assignment. It's not the 10-point practice, so it's bigger than some of them are, but it's still only 25 points. So let's take a look at these. The discussion board for this week. I want you to read this Instagram story by Alexis Nicole. She calls herself the Black Forager, and she's going to tell you about some people who died because they read an AI book. Yeah, so let's read about that. So I want you to learn about it, apply these that we just learn about them if you don't know about them, and then write at 200 words reflecting on this. Just follow the instructions. This is just like normal. It's due Wednesday. I wanted to point this part out. Most of you are doing comments now, but as I'm doing my grading, there are still some people who just don't do comments. Those comments are worth half the points, so make sure to do them. They add a lot. So that's this week's discussion board, right? So I'm going to go and go back, and took me up to week 2, scrolling down. So they also have practice with thesis, outline, and summary. So I want you to make sure that you know how to use thesis statements, how to summarize, all that stuff. That's kind of key to this class. There's a bunch of key things to this class. These are some of them. So for this assignment, you get to pick one of these articles. I tried to pick articles that are interesting and maybe shocking and maybe make you go, what? At least one of them. So hopefully something in here, something you're interested in. Pick an article, and but don't open it yet. And then before you read the article, just by the title, I want you to think about what your opinions are. And write it, and then read it, and then you're going to write down the thesis, write down your summary, and compare and contrast between your ideas and what the article said. So there's a lot to this. That's why it's 25 points. I don't want you to miss it. But also, these skills that we're practicing are core to this class. So this is a really good moment halfway through the class to make sure that these things you know how to do. If you don't, you're going to need to learn them, and we won't be practicing them much past this, because the next thing that happens is next week, your annotated bibliography is due. So while this week is pretty light on work, the reason is because you need to be spending this week also looking at and thinking about your annotated bibliography and working on it. So it's due on November 9th. If you're like, wait a minute, what is this? Well, go to November 9th, click on annotated bibliography, and it'll give you all of the instructions. What this basically is, at the end of this course, you have an essay due, a big one. It's a research essay, and you can go read all about that. The instructions are there, right? Make sure you do. This annotated bibliography is for your sources that you could use for your final essay. So I'm kind of having you work on your final essay now, collecting your sources first, right? Evaluating them, and you'll be creating a whole annotated bibliography about them. So it's an important time for you to know what your final essay is going to be about. You can change your mind over and over and over, so you aren't committed, but you do need to make an annotated bibliography about something, and it needs to be on topic, right? So go read the instructions for that final essay and make sure that you understand what I'm asking for in it so that you can make your annotated bibliography match. If you read the instructions for the bibliography, it says the same thing, but every quarter I get a few students who I think are probably taking too many courses at once and are overwhelmed, is my guess is. But they get all the way to the final essay and submit something that isn't according to the prompts, which also means their annotated bibliography either wasn't turned in or was off topic as well. So don't be that guy, because if you are, it's a lot of extra work to go back and do this all again. So go take a look at that instructions for the annotated bibliography. Make sure that you understand what it is, what you're working on, and make sure that you have a topic for your final. The bibliography will ask you for all that anyway. If you follow the instructions through the course, it should hold your hand. But I know we're all complicated, and who knows what's going on in your head while you're taking this class. So that's what I want to make sure I warned you guys about. Bibliography is due next week. And then from that bibliography, you're going to write your final essay. And then the course is over in 5 weeks. We're almost done. So yeah. Also, this weekend is Halloween, Saturday? So I just want to make sure I warn you, because if you're planning on having a good time, get your work done first, right? Get this stuff done and be thinking about your annotated bibliography, because you should be working on that this week. I'd recommend. You should be. You can do it all next week, and there's examples and you can see what I'm talking about. But if you have any questions about any of this, please email me, and happy to help. Yeah. Anyway, I'll see you guys on the discussion boards. Have a good week.